The war of words between Alberta and Quebec is deepening. Bloc Québécois leader Yves-Francois Blanchet has blasted Alberta Premier Jason Kenney for spreading, quote, false information about Canada's equalization system, and claims that Quebec pays more into federal coffers than Alberta does. Then he appeared on the Global's West Block on Sunday and said the Alberta oil patch owes its very existence to Quebec. He says there would be no oil industry in Alberta if Quebec had not contributed money to it many years ago. Danielle Smith from Global News Radio 770 CHQR joins us to continue this conversation. It appears both sides seem to be doubling down here.
Well, and I don't know if anyone's fact-checked Yves-Francois Blanchet's argument about about Quebec being responsible for Alberta's energy sector. Heck, why is Jason Kenney in Dallas and Houston? He probably should be in Montreal if they're that responsible for funding our industry. So there's probably a nugget of truth in there somewhere. But when you think about the billions, tens of billions of dollars that we've had to attract into the industry to grow it, from private investors, but largely from U.S. American investors, I don't quite know what he's referring to, unless he's referring to the tiny, tiny, tiny amount of equalization that Alberta got back in the 1950s, which was some $92 million to see us through the transition from being an agriculture economy into an energy producer. But we've since paid $600 billion back. And so I would say that that's a pretty darn good return on the investment if it was $92 million to see us through a rough patch and the money keeps on going. So I don't know that Blanchet is doing anything to try to build ties or curb any of the anxiety out west. But you know what? Maybe that's not his job. Maybe what we're all being played. Maybe what we're seeing is that because he's made it very clear that his objective is to break the country up and to have Quebec go separately, stirring the pot and making Westerners angry and creating division in English-speaking Canada is probably part of the strategy. But I think we need to understand where the truth lies. On the other side of equalization, this is the thing that's so baffling about Quebec, is they pay $60 billion worth of federal taxes. They get $73 billion worth of federal transfers. Where do they think that other $13 billion comes from? It comes from the West. And the fact that they can't connect those dots seems to me remarkable, especially since if they do end up leaving, which is his aspiration, they're going to be $13 billion short, even if they collect all of the taxes and keep them in their own province. So I think that there is a lot of assertion of reality and perhaps not much weight behind it. So we're going to explore that today.
Blanchet said he would be willing to sit down with Kenney, though. Did that ever happen?
No point. Well, I mean, this is somebody who has done nothing but antagonize the premier ever since he got elected. His bottom line is, this is the way the country works, and the country is going to work without the energy sector in the future. So suck it up. That's just our bottom line demand. So if you're going to have somebody who is that hard line, that unreasonable, then I don't know that there's much point. I think Jason Kenney's best strategy is to work with the premiers who do want to work with us and forget Quebec.
All right, you can listen to more on this topic on Danielle's show today starting at 9:30 on 770 CHQR. Thanks, Danielle.
Thanks.